Principle number one is keep your learners engaged. So what do I mean by that? If you are talking to your group, it's important, as I mentioned in the previous video, principle number two, to ask lots of questions and get the students to try and respond to you. If you are delivering online, you might ask the people to respond by typing something into the chat. As long as you keep the interaction dialogic and you make sure that you're giving your learners a chance to interact, then you'll be doing a great job in delivering your content. So live feedback is really important in keeping the interaction dialogic. Asking questions, especially yes or no questions, you're making it really easy for your learners to respond to you. And I think that's a good tip to keep in the front of your mind. Asking closed questions makes it easier to respond. It makes the learners more likely to engage with your question. And sometimes it's appropriate to ask for a show of hands, especially when you're giving, say, an academic conference or seminar presentation. You can ask for a show of hands early in the beginning of your presentation to get that early interaction so that you establish the dynamics of the group and it makes people more willing to participate and to actively listen to you. And finally, this is one of my most important tips to share with you, and that is to kill dead time. What do I mean by dead time? Dead time is the time in the class where nothing is actually happening. Maybe the students are waiting for you, the teacher, to write something on the whiteboard. Maybe the students are introducing themselves in a large group and the 15th student is sitting there bored out of their brains because we are going one by one introducing ourselves in a large group. This is dead time and it's no good because the students have, in most cases, paid money for this class and they're thinking to themselves, this is a huge waste of my time and money. From a teaching point of view, this is time that you're not engaging the students for learning and it's wasted time. Another example of dead time is when certain learners might finish an exercise more quickly than others and then they're just sitting there kind of waiting for the teacher to come and tell them what to do next. So how can you eliminate this so-called dead time? Well, as we've mentioned previously, for early finishers, you might get them to do another task once they've finished the main exercise. Quickly give them something else to do so that they can continue learning. And hopefully, if you've done your lesson preparation well, you will have some ideas already in your mind so that when that moment arises, you can quickly give the learners the next task to do. Another thing that you can do is utilize think, pair, share and group work a lot more. So what's think, pair, share? Think, pair, share is instead of asking individual questions to individual students in a large group, you can ask a single question to everybody and then discuss this question with the person next to you or with your small group and have a little chat for 2 minutes and then come back and tell me what you think. So this is just an amazing technique and it's so simple. The reason why it's so effective is that it lets students kind of practice their response before they have to tell the whole group. It makes the students more confident in their response and it lets them get feedback on their response from somebody else. And then when you call upon certain pairs to feed back to the group, if they're totally off the track and they've given the wrong response, it's not just one person who's accountable, it's both students in the pair. So it's a really good technique for many reasons, and I encourage you to use think, pair, share as much as possible, especially in large groups. Have you, as a practicing teacher, ever noticed that your students are often looking on their phones and they're distracted in class? Part of the problem might be that you're not engaging your students enough. Now, I know some students are really shocking and they're always looking at their phones no matter what, but you as the teacher, you have the authority to set the pace and to maintain that pace and that engagement by keeping your learners engaged and trying to eliminate as much as possible the dead time. Because you'll notice that students tend to pick up their phones during the dead time. So as a teacher, please try to manage that dead time, plan it into your lessons if necessary, and again, by recording your lessons and looking back at them, you can get a real sense of how much dead time you are allowing to creep into your lessons as you teach.